Sarah Boone had a few wins in court today on day 3 of jury selection / motion hearings. We're going to talk about a couple of the most salacious moments in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's still back there, I'm still right here, and my name's still Paul. And the boys, Bo and Luke, are right there, and well, Roscoe's in spirit behind us. Now what we're going to be doing today is going over just a couple of quick little updates from today's hearing, motion hearings, jury selection, that type of thing. So first and foremost, this is the Sarah Boone trial little update we're doing. I did do a morning stream on my podcast channel, links are below. I am streaming it as I can when I don't have to work, when chaos isn't ensuing over here, which is not too often. And I'm just going to do kind of like little update videos over here, or we'll go live and watch some things in the evening. However we do it, you know, we're going to be hanging out together as much as we can for this trial. We followed it for so long. Now, what we're going to specifically do in today's video is, like I said, we're going to be going over day 3. Day 3 started off with motions, and then it switched over to more of jury selection. So we'll get into that. Now, first of all, let's do the jury selection updates, if you will, first. Now, one person I've been following on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter X, is Kathy Rusin. She is from Law and Crime, and she put up a couple of tweets here this afternoon, and we're just going to kind of get to the where we're at with jury selection. So as you see here on the screen, it says jury selection resumed this afternoon. 3 of the 53 qualified jurors were a no-show today. One juror said he couldn't be impartial due to the stress of his job. Another was excused for an unknown reason. Voir dire began with 48 qualified jurors, and the state is questioning them now. Now, in the second little update thing here, she was responding to somebody, and she said they will question the entire 48 panel today and tomorrow morning. Then they will go through and use their strikes and choose a jury by the end of the day tomorrow. So it sounds like we might be looking at opening statements on Friday, which would work because I can stream those and hang out. Tomorrow I will be working and doing some stuff, so if they do them, we'll watch them together in the evening time. So just know that, okay? Just know that. Now, so there's that. Now, there were some things that I saw right before they switched over where one juror had tested positive for COVID, this, that, and the other. So they were moving everybody up to a bigger courtroom, and they were going to pursue with that. So that's where we're at with that so far. Now, let's talk about a couple of these updates with the motions. Remember, they were going over several motions this morning, and it was exhausting. Let's just be honest. But Sarah had several wins in this. Now, one of the things before we get into some clips and stuff that I want to look at, I want to say is, one of the motions was for redacting some of the information from that interview, the interrogation, if you will. And those are things like, you know, the cop saying, you know, you're responsible and you killed him and things of this nature. Now, I completely understand that. It makes total sense, right? Overall theme for today was the defense getting up there and just really dragging things through, and we're going to look at a clip in a minute and you'll kind of get the vibe of it. You know, there was times where the state was going at it with the defense. I mean, they were snappy. I mean, this has probably pushed everybody to their breaking point. Now, one thing also to keep in mind, we'll see some of these clips of Sarah. Sarah was serving, Sarah was giving. One thing that we said in the live chat, everybody kind of agreed on, this is the most refreshed and best she has looked since we've really seen her, honestly, okay? Her hair looked okay. Her outfit was kind of twinning with the attorney. She was giving businesswoman lunch. She was giving I invented Post-its. We got a little running joke over there in the live chat. If you've seen Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, you'll know Sarah's giving I invented Post-it notes, or more specifically, the glue that makes Post-its Post-it, okay? So that being said, what I want to do right now is look at a clip. This is from Court TV, and this is like representative of how the entire day seemed to go here with the defense and the judge. So we're going to look at this. This is one of her lawyers on here. This is not Owens, but this is like one of his co-counsel or whatever. Now, what this is going to center around is overt acts and those opening statements and the battered spouse syndrome. She did have a win with this, but there was this entire back and forth the whole time about what is an overt act? When can we use the battered spouse syndrome? When can we raise that, ring that bell, the whole 9 yards? So let's start off by watching this interaction between the attorney, one of her attorneys, and the judge.
My response to that, if I'm understanding you correctly, because,
if you need to reframe the question, please.
Because it's procedurally. There's no way that we could come in here and put Dr. Harper on the stand before Sarah Boone. It just doesn't work. Because to even establish the relevancy of Dr. Harper's testimony, Sarah Boone, who's the only witness there at the time, I agree with that with the state, has to present evidence of self-defense, has to present the evidence of the court talking about that overt act. It's not based on what the doctor perceives or what the doctor was told by Ms. Boone, or what questions were asked at that deposition. I don't know. Ms. Owens took the deposition. The questions, though, at the depositions are limited, and the doctor answers. But that's not what this has to be based on. What it has to be based on is, what does Ms. Boone, in this case, testifies to on the stand? And if any of that, excuse me, if any of that presents a scintilla of evidence to award the self-defense instruction, then the self-defense instruction should be given. That's the first step. Everything follows after that, Judge, because this isn't a situation where I think it's appropriate to make a pretrial ruling, because the ruling has to be based on the evidence that comes from that witness stand. Now, any of the evidence is subject to cross-examination, impeachment, anything like that. But that's a wait for the jury to determine. But as to the admissibility of the evidence, it has to start with Sarah Boone. A judgment can't be made, or a decision cannot be made, until the testimony of Sarah Boone takes place at trial. This is just procedurally incorrect.
Now, one thing we saw today with some of these motions and whatnot, when they would get to this point, the judge would go, any other arguments? Okay, rebuttal. All right. I love how the defense tells the judge what it is. Like, this is procedural. This is this. This is that. A huge theme going on in today's hearing, in today's motions and whatnot, is the defense seems to want to have this gotcha thing with the state. You know, they're trying to get our info, they're trying to get our intel, they're trying to do this. And I'm like, I don't think it's that. I don't think the state's worried. I really don't, okay? The evidence speaks for itself. I mean, literally, okay? It speaks for itself. Now, let's continue on down this path of the overt act. Now, one reason I put that whole clip up there, I wanted you to just see that energy level, because there's just this, I don't know how to describe it. There's a lack of confidence coming from the defense. Now, some people said this in the chat today, and I totally agree. They're doing the best they can work with, right? I get this. However, if it was Sarah up there representing herself, y'all, we would still be at ground zero. Okay, so at least there's that going. Now, what I want to do is look at some tweets. Now, these are going to be coming from Stephanie Buffamonte. She is from Fox 35 Orlando. She's also covering this. This kind of breaks down in a very way of like what took place, and then we'll listen to a little clip or whatever and talk about it. So on the screen here, you see the first one. It's one of 5. This is Stephanie. It says, Sarah Boone's attorneys in state argued if evidence supporting battered spouse syndrome can be used in the trial or not. State argued that Boone had previously told deputies that she and George, the boyfriend she was accused of killing, were playing puzzles and hide and seek. Then, number 2, state argues that there has to be an overt act to put anyone in reasonable fear for self-defense. Basically saying she can't claim they went from having a great day to then fearing for her life, where she took and beat the suitcase that she zipped George in with a bat. Now, this has like been coming out more and more in these, you know, the evidence and whatnot that we've seen, where she's beat the man with the bat in the suitcase, right? And we'll get to a little bit more of that here in a second. So, number 3, Sarah Boone previously told deputies she and George were playing hide and seek while drinking in 2020. She went upstairs and fell asleep. She said in 2020 when she woke up, she found him dead in the suitcase and that it was not intentional. Keep in mind that interview that we saw. Now, number 4, the defense then dropped a bombshell saying that Sarah Boone will testify to show cause for self-defense. Her attorney saying Jorge Torres had his arm out of the suitcase and Sarah feared for her safety because of her previous abuse she suffered from him. The last one, Boone's attorney said George's hand is coming out of the suitcase. That means he's about to get out. Based on history, she doesn't have to wait to see what's going to happen when he gets out. He went on to say there's evidence on George's body that will prove this. Now let's pause right there. Now the way this played out was that attorney who we just saw was up there and he's basically like, they're trying to force me meaning the state, they're trying to force us to show our hand and this, that, and the other. And, you know, we don't want to say this, but you know what? Okay, we're just going to say what the overt act is. We're going to say what the overt act is. Well, you know, we're all sitting there on the edge of the damn sofa. Okay, like, what is it? Okay, when he said this right here, it was like you deflated a balloon. It was like, we're like, really? Because here's the thing. Again, going back to the interview that she was not able to get suppressed. How many times in the interview did she say, I went upstairs expecting him to come back up there. It was not intentional that I put him in there. It was this, it was that. Now she's trying to basically say like it was all fun and games till somebody got their eye poked out basically. And that, you know, things were going and all of a sudden, you know, he did this. So now it's turned around. He's going to, you know, come after her. But again, in that interview, time and time again, she says, I went upstairs. I thought he would be up there any minute. Now, again, I'd have to go over it probably an umpteenth time to make this distinction, but I'm like, she doesn't act afraid in the interview, but she doesn't say that in the interview, but in so many words, like, you know, specifically, right? But she's like, we were playing, we were having fun, it was this, it was that. She didn't show any of this kind of fear. So that's the part where I'm just like, okay, but now you're trying to say because his fingers were sticking out. Well, then on that note too, if that was the case, why couldn't he let himself out? Why was he dependent upon her? Now, evidence will show that she attacked, like she hit him with his baseball bat. So remember how there's all these injuries that in the interview, the cop's like, how did he get these? How did he get these? Well, she's not saying, well, I hit him with a baseball bat. You know, she's saying that she went upstairs and was assuming that he would be up any bed. Well, then why, if you were that afraid for your life and you've done something to push him over the edge, oh gosh, I went too far with the suitcase, he's going to get out and I know what that means. Well, then why would you go upstairs and feel comfortable enough to fall asleep? That part, it's just, it doesn't make sense, but it's not supposed to, right? Now, let's listen to a little clip here of another reporter, and this is, again, from Court TV, and it's just going a little bit deeper into that.
Out there, you want to ask us about this overt act? Okay, fine, Judge, we will tell you. So what happened, according to defense counsel, is Jorge Torres was inside that suitcase, but he had a finger sticking out. So what defense counsel is saying, the theory is going to be, is that he was drunk, and that if he came out of that suitcase when he's drunk, that is when he would beat Sarah Boone. So she knew that when he would get out of that suitcase that he was going to beat her. And so that's why they're saying they can use the battered spouse syndrome defense. What the judge did, the judge is allowing them to do it in part. So the judge is saying that they have to lay the predicate in order to put forth this battered spouse syndrome defense. So Sarah Boone, for instance, taking the stand and talking about her constant fear of Jorge Torres, and that was the overt act. The judge is saying you need an overt act, and so what defense counsel is saying is him having his finger stuck out of that suitcase indicated to her that she was going to be beaten.
Okay, now just brace yourselves. Here's what I personally think. So you heard what she said there. Yes, they were able to get the battered spouse syndrome and she can use it to some degree, right? There's going to have to be a little bit of legwork done, whatever. I personally think that this is where Sarah thinks that she can whatever. Number one, they're going to get this doctor up there, whatever the situation is. Number two, Sarah's going to get up there. When she gets up there and testifies, because she's got, trust me, today the huge theme was if she testifies, I think Sarah's going to get up there and run her mouth for who knows how long. And this is going to open the door to this stuff. And Sarah's thinking, I'm guessing, I don't know, this is sofa speculation, that she can then talk her way out of it and convince the jury otherwise. However, with the evidence so far that we are seeing as being allowed, I'm going to be very surprised if a jury looks at that evidence that we have seen and says, yeah, I believe she feared for her life and this makes total sense. Nothing surprises me anymore, but on that note, I'll still be a little bit surprised with that, okay? But this is a major win. I can tell you this right now. Oh, Sarah? She's already given her honey bun supply away. In her world, I can tell you that she's going home tomorrow. She's done. She's giving honey buns away. She's giving hooch away. she's giving shoulder pads away. She's going home, right? And who knows, maybe she will. Maybe she'll prove us all wrong. Okay, maybe she'll prove us all wrong, and she'll be sitting on that porch with a Bartles and James and a cigarette hanging out of one mouth, talking about, I told y'all so. Yep, go on, mess with me. Go on, I'll get the Samsonite out, boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could all be shocked here, okay? So there's that. So yes, she is going to be able to use this. They're going to redact some of the stuff. She had a little bit of success in today. So we're just going to see. These are the main talking points I wanted to go over that really jumped out at me with emotions today. We're getting a clearer picture. Now, one more thing I will say is some of the evidence they were talking about, and like some of this like digital evidence and whatnot, you can tell that it's like conversations, or I texted this person and they said this. There's a scenario about, you know, a fight that took place with his family beating him up, or someone, his brother, and it seems like she instigated it by telling the brother about abuse or something. Again, it'll be very curious to see how this stuff makes it in court, because so much of it is coming from her. And I'm not trying to say that, oh, she made everything up or whatever, but as we've seen with her behavior, I have a feeling that Sarah instigated a lot of drama. Now, again, I get they had a toxic relationship and it went both ways, 100%, not denying that. But with Sarah's behavior that we have seen, it's going to be interesting. So again, we are getting ready to be in trial, in opening statements. And like I said, we'll either stream it tonight when I get home from work, the opening statements, and watch them together again, or I'll make a little post and say, hey, we're going to do we're going to stream on the other channel. I'll try and make little updates like this as we go for this channel, since I know there's kind of like two different audiences and some overlap. Either way, I appreciate all y'all watching, okay, is what I'm getting at. And if you are still watching, well, thank you. I appreciate that too. And if you could, take a moment, drop some little sofas off in the comment section for myself, Roscoe and Spirit, and these two little munchkins over here running around, a little Bo and Luke. They've been playing the whole time. You probably hear them clattering. And we'll have a place then to hang out on the sofa in the comment section, talk about Sarah, all the other cases we talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we do meander our way a little down there, we'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.